Welcome back to the Artist Coaching Podcast with me, Joey Suki, for now. I'm actually waiting for Ralph to join and Dannic as well. We have another special guest, as I said. Dannic will be here today with us. Jay is still traveling, he's still on a holiday with his family, so he's taking some time off and enjoying that very much. Um, what's on the planning for today? We're gonna catch up with Danik and see how he has been, how he has spent his last year, what he's working on at the moment, and obviously we're gonna answer all of your questions. I already noticed a couple of questions coming in on the Discord channel, so we're definitely taking those in. And if there are some people in the live stream right now who have a question, you feel free to drop it in the live stream or just go to our Discord, which is the home of our like the centerpiece of everything. So if you're not in there yet, make sure to join. The link is in the description, so you should be able to find it. What's up, Melodramatic? Josh is here as always. What's up, Lion Harris? Hope you guys have a great Wednesday. Um, and the good news is, or the bad news, depends on how you see it, but this is the moment where your week is kind of halfway through for people who are still in jobs. So we're kind of sawing the week into the middle every week with our podcast. Um, I'm actually at the new office, as you can see. This is my third day that I'm actually working from here. I'm having a very great time so far. As you can see, like there's some beautiful, nice buildings on the background. I'm in the middle of the city center, and actually, what you can see here is a drawing that one of my daughters made for me. And this is, I think this was the Tomorrowland bracelet gift from last year, which is actually pretty insane. It's like the flower. The yeah, the bracelet came into this box. Pretty cool. Anyways, guys, I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but last week I also watched the Avicii documentary. It's probably the main thing that most people talk about at this moment in the music industry, and we're definitely going to talk about that today as well because it's just yeah, it's too important and too interesting to me to not talk about it. Actually, I'm working on writing a whole article about it and thinking about my thoughts, sharing my thoughts on it. So you can expect that in the near future. I see Danik is in the waiting line, so I'm gonna get him in.
Whoa!
Yo,
Yo!
we're live. Just so you know,
Live! I was
live. What's
rushing.
up?
Sorry for
No
being late.
worries. No worries. We're used to that. That's the whole idea
It was
behind the podcast.
Breda
Like
traffic. Crazy.
everyone's just hopping in, hopping out every moment here. It's like doesn't matter.
All right,
All good.
perfect.
We're still waiting for Ralph actually, so he's the one who's really
Oh,
late.
see? No.
Yeah, he's the one who's really late. How
Happy
have you
New Year,
been?
by the way.
Happy New Year to you too. Until what time are you supposed to say that actually?
It depends. I'm gonna say that if I see a person for the first time since the new
Uh,
year, I'm gonna say Happy New Year. I don't care.
that's a good thing. Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. How
Yeah,
have you been?
I'm really good actually. Yeah, really
Yeah,
busy, but really good. So I'm actually enjoying this downtime before the show season starts again.
yeah.
So I've been busy in the studio and working on also different stuff as well, and it's good.
Is January your downtime, right? Like January, February.
Yeah, usually, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And in actually, I had my first Christmas with family and friends for the first
Hmm.
time since a long time. Because
Really?
I had the chance to do like, okay, Dan, you want to do 3 shows, or you can do them in March. I was like, let's do them in March.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine.
So,
How did that felt?
oh, it was great, great. Like no stress, no need of like because always in the back of your mind, you're like, oh shit, I have to catch a flight, I have to grab my stuff and be away for a few days. But this time was like no pressure, nothing. I even made some music, had some time to
Hmm.
chill, so it was great. Yeah.
Do you even like really experience the Christmas feeling when you're touring during Christmas?
I do actually because like the
Huh.
hotels usually they have this massive Christmas trees and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and of course like I'm 24/7 in contact with my family, so I try to.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, to me, it's been a tradition for many years, obviously, and I can actually still remember the Christmases of when I was a little kid, like the smell of candles. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? If I smell a candle that just went out, so the smoke comes up, right? Like that
yeah, yeah,
smell,
yeah, yeah.
it
That
kind of makes me think about Christmas. It's a big trigger. But is there anything for you as well, like which really makes you think of Christmas?
well, actually, the Christmas tree itself. It's
Ah,
we
yeah.
always have a real one, so it smells really
Ah,
good.
yeah.
And
There's two camps, right? Fake
yeah,
people, real people.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I don't. But I can see why a fake Christmas tree would work. It's always the same one. It's always working, so that's great. But I
true.
like the smell of a real one.
Look, there he is.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello, Ralph.
Alfie.
What's up? We're live.
We're live. All right. Hello,
Yeah.
Are
everybody.
you on your standing desk right now?
Oh,
Yeah, I was sitting all day and I thought to myself, it's a nice time to stand up.
that's good.
Standing up for myself.
Yeah, it's
Let's
nice
go.
time.
Raise your
Hey,
glass.
Dan.
Hey,
Nice
Nice
coloring.
sweater.
hey, yeah,
We're
yeah,
kind of in
yeah.
the same tones today. Like,
Unbelievable. It's
Yeah,
the
but you
choice of
have the
winter
zipper.
winter edition. So I was
the
like,
zipper.
Oh,
Yeah, true. That's true. How have you been, Ralph?
I've been good.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, wait. I need to fix the lighting.
as always.
we came
Boom.
prepared today. Ooh, nice.
This
I
one is
need to
called
fix
red
my
lights.
lighting here as well. It's not perfect yet. Like, I look a bit yellow. Hmm.
Yeah, same here because I have this was it purple LED in front of me, so it looks a bit like I went on holiday for 3 weeks in the sun, but that's not the case, unfortunately.
Hasn't been the case.
Fake it till
Are,
you
are,
make it.
are you going on a holiday? Because usually you
No,
do, right?
usually I do, but this time around, no. I probably go well something with the shows, and then I try to extend it a few days, and then
Wow. Is that
enjoy it.
something you do regularly? Like extend your trips when
Not
when you
regularly,
come?
but sometimes, yeah. If it's like a really nice destination, then I'll probably stay a bit longer. Oh, there goes Ralph. He's mad.
Yeah,
He left the
that's rough.
building.
Yeah, when he's not interested, he just leaves.
And what about you? Are you planning on something, or you went with?
No, normally, well, no, not normally, but we used to go to Aruba during these
Oh yeah,
periods.
of course. Yeah, I went. I
Yeah,
was there too.
but now since the oldest daughter is kind of bounded to go to school, it becomes a
Oh,
lot
man.
more expensive.
I feel like a boomer podcast episode
Yeah,
coming up because if you start about the holidays and
Yeah,
the school holidays,
dude, the
but let's don't.
prices just go crazy when you travel in school holidays. It's insane.
Yeah,
of
they fuck
course.
you up. Plus, it's
Yeah,
just busy everywhere. But let's just, I
yeah.
mean,
Let's
it's the
stick with the music.
artist coaching podcast
Yeah,
and not
yeah, yeah.
the boomers complaining podcast.
Or
That's a
travel
good tip.
podcast. Ah,
Hey, have you watched the Avicii documentary?
yes. Who were you asking to?
Everyone, I know Ralph watched it.
I actually
Liked
watched
it.
it 3 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I think me too. 3 or 4 days. Like, what's your thoughts on it, Dan?
Of course, we already were a little bit spoiled with the first documentary. So, and of course, I knew. No, I didn't really knew Tim, but of course, I met him a couple of times. And I knew his story, of course. So there wasn't too much new info to digest, but I definitely really liked it. Like it was definitely emotional towards the end, of course. I was hoping for a bit more background info on some newer stuff, of course, like
Yeah,
how he was feeling at the end of his life. That wasn't really, the, like it didn't explain that to me, and it felt a little bit rushed for 90 minutes.
hmm.
But overall, yeah, of course, it's one of the goats of EDM, or if yeah, not EDM, but like
He
electronic music.
is, in my
He
opinion,
is the
the
goat.
goat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course, like his melodies and what he did for EDM music in general.
Yeah, and you, Ralph.
yeah, I really liked it. I liked the whole tone of this documentary. It was way more. I mean, it's a tragic event in the end, but the tone was actually pretty positive,
Yeah,
and
true.
what he has contributed and what he did. For me, he already was the goat. Now I'm even a bigger fan. I think he's lonely at the top of how good he is at making electronic dance music, and nothing comes even close. Yeah, I really had a good time watching it. It was really interesting to see where we came from. We got a bit more info on how we started. Also, I never realized the Avicii Feelgood, that Feelgood was a separate person. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't know
so
that
that was
too.
fun. Yeah, and
What do you
still
mean?
remember the Vicious time when they released their pretty good, because when that was when we were touring Australia, and everybody was talking also already about Avicii, and I was like, yeah, whatever, dude,
Hmm.
bass checkers.
Yeah,
But
obviously.
no, yeah, it's an insane story, and yeah, also insanely tragic. How cool must it have been if he would still be alive? And man, I would be so curious about what he would make now. Especially, I really liked the whole ultra event. For me, that I remember that quite vividly. I
Yeah, me
still
too.
remember, like everybody, also in the business, was talking about
Oh,
what is
yeah,
this guy doing on stage? What is
Yeah.
this? And
yeah.
that really came forward in the documentary. And
And I really
but
felt it how he was on his phone the whole time checking Twitter
yeah,
and just reading the same like negative comments, and just and that was so relatable in terms of, just you're so focused on the negative thing. Like if
definitely,
someone
yeah, yeah,
posts
yeah,
one negative response to your music or something, that it really gets to you. And I felt like it even hit harder at the time for him. But
Is
yeah,
definitely.
is that
he
something
really
you do
needed
as
some
well?
kind of an artist coach at that moment, I think.
Yeah, well, to me, to be honest, like a lot of emergency bells kind of started ringing during the
Yeah,
documentary. I
I'm
actually
also
wrote,
really interested in your take on it because,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
yeah,
are
for me, I'm
the
just
expert.
watching in awe because he's such a good musician.
Well, I actually made a lot of notes during the documentary. I never do this, really never. But I was watching the first 10 minutes. I was like, okay, I can't remember all these things. I'm just gonna write them down.
Hmm.
So I wrote down a lot of quotes that he mentioned in the documentary, which were like red lights to me, or maybe like signs or something that I was like, this is actually something that somebody should have seen or heard about him. And I'm definitely gonna write a whole article about it because I'm not that good at talking that great about it. Like I want to spend
Yeah,
some
yeah.
time
You
thinking
still need
about
to
it.
process it a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm gonna write that piece probably this week. But I really liked it, and what I really liked about it, maybe you noticed, Dan, but was the documentary made? Was it already planned when he was alive? Because he does the voiceover and stuff.
That's a really good. I had the same question. I think
Must
he
be
did
right.
a more in-depth interview before his Ibiza show, like the last one, at Ushuaia.
Mm.
I think they used that because he was basically doing his own voiceover.
Almost everything until like the literal end.
Yeah,
So it feels to me like they were already creating the documentary, and then
Yeah,
suddenly he died. But
what I understood was that also they, but I read it somewhere. I don't know if it's true.
hmm,
But somebody told me that they took a lot of bits and pieces from separate interviews
oh yeah,
mhm.
and then brushed up the audio, so because it all sounded like it was the same
Yeah,
narrated
narration being
voice.
done.
Yeah,
But apparently, but somebody wrote that on Twitter. I have no clue if it's true, but
could
makes
be true,
sense.
Anyway,
of course, but yeah,
if it's true, like that was amazing to me, as in like hearing it from his own perspective, like hearing it from his own mind and thoughts, and getting the pure source, I would say.
yeah,
um and to me it was all like all so recognizable, as in, for those who know my story and for those who've read my book, it's a literal copy, as in, not in a bad thing, but like what he went through,
the
I
same
kind of went
blueprint.
through in like a light version, because he was much bigger than I was, and the problems were much bigger and the challenges were much bigger. But the issues that he was struggling with were completely similar to what I was going through. And that's so crazy for me to see. Like it's identical, like the way how he talks about things, the things he says is the same exact thing that I thought, or the same exact thing that I was struggling with. So to me, that's so insane that it's, I
Yeah,
believe by now, after 10 years of coaching artists, it's a pattern, you know. Like I hear and see more artists of a certain level struggle with these things. So it
Have
must
you
be.
a really a good example? Like he said
Let me
this.
check the notes.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
the
the
notes here.
contrast between being Tim and being Avicii,
Yeah,
and
well,
especially management wanting him to switch between those two.
that's the biggest thing,
Uh,
as in that's also why I believe things went wrong. Same for me. It's the identical crisis,
yeah,
right? It's the struggle between Avicii and the struggle between Tim, and you can literally hear him talk about it. Like I'm just looking up the quotes that he mentioned, especially the one what he ends with, like, "Who are you? I'm Tim." As in,
mhm.
at that moment, he kind of knew there's a difference between those two personalities. Um, I'm not chasing. I was chasing happiness that wasn't mine.
Yeah,
Also a
that,
big
that
one.
that's deep.
I didn't like being a persona and switching between Avicii and Tim.
Yeah, that's
Is
what I
what he
meant.
literally mentioned. Like those type of things is exactly what I felt as well. Like the maybe you recognize this as well, Dan. Like the bigger you get, the more time is being spent as Dannic in your case, and the more people around you start to identify you as
Yeah,
Dannic,
100%.
and they start talking to Dannic and not
Yeah,
to Dan.
yeah, that's true.
And if not that's not something that you're aware of, it can become confusing very quickly. And to
But and
me,
also, I think everyone puts like a mask onto you, like the way they see you instead of you being, a person or something. So it's
yeah, especially with the
get
people who
more.
don't know you that well, which is most of them, right? So your fans maybe or people around you. Um, the only thing they really see from you is the bits and pieces on social media. So, but that's Danik. That's not Dan.
Yeah, of course, there's
There is some in a perfect life. I would say there is that's the same, right? In a perfect life, I would say the artist is the authentic self. So the artist is the authentic person.
yeah, I think people that really know me also know that I can't act. I'm not an actor or something. It's not like,
Yeah,
but there. But what I do recognize is that, especially when you have some kind of success or status, that you kind of get a lot of adrenaline, and you yeah, I would say that. Of course, you're gonna act a little bit different when you're in your movie kind of film status. So
yeah,
um, but I think the things that I showed were always genuine, but always, of course, in full on adrenaline and in a
yeah,
show kind of atmosphere. Where if I'm alone in my hotel room, then of course that's down, that's different, and
yeah,
everything starts to go down, and you're like yeah,
yeah.
your chill self again.
Yeah, and just another couple of things that I noticed, like friends and parents don't really get it because you seem to have the dream life, right? That's another thing. My
Yeah,
book is literally called "Unhappy in a Dream Life,"
yeah.
for a reason. Um, as an artist, you should see yourself as a character completely different as yourself, is what he said. Like, I'm not sure if that's the right way to do it.
No, I think management said that to him. I think that's what I
Oh,
took
okay,
from
yeah,
it,
that could be.
but
My notes could be
I'm not
off.
100% sure. Also, I think that the way they portrayed Ash this time was way different than the first documentary,
Yeah,
which I find
Definitely.
interesting
I
because in
think
the
that
first
has to be thought of. Like there
yeah, in the
must have
first
been a
documentary it
conversation.
felt like he was more like the bad guy, and in this
Yeah.
document, no, we tried everything. We even did like interventions and stuff. I was like, okay,
You
Yeah.
don't know what the truth is, but I
no,
didn't like the last documentary because it all almost tried to blame somebody for what happened, and I think it's also just tragic that, I mean, there's nobody per se maybe to blame.
no,
Really don't know. But last in the previous documentary, like everybody afterwards was talking like, "Whoa, that Ash was a big motherfucker,"
Mm.
and and this time it was actually my my take actually was, well, whoa, dude, he's a really good manager actually,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
100%.
because that's the kind of manager you want on your side. And then you also want somebody else. Of course, he has an incentive to let you do as much as possible, and on the other end, you must have somebody who kind of calms that down. And
Balances it out.
in
Yeah.
the first part, I was amazed by the documentary, but later on, that was reversed. The first part, I was always thinking he was on tour with his entourage, but I never saw his parents. And for me, that was like, wow, his parents. I saw his dad talking, like really collected and calm, and about his son, which is also pretty admirable. And but then later on, you saw him also on stage with Tim, and so that was gone because at first I thought, if only his parents would go with him and keep him grounded, because usually the parents are one of the key factors in keeping people grounded. I think that's also in Robert's case quite an important figure. I know
Garrix.
in Martijn's case, his parents are important figures,
Yeah.
and
They most of the time know you best, right? Like
yeah.
in most
And for
cases.
me, actually, that was the most tragic thing because then afterwards, in conclusion of the documentary, it seemed like his parents were really involved. And then I was like, oh shit! And then still it goes wrong. That
Mm,
was maybe one of the most, especially as being a parent. Yeah, you think if you're there, you can always be there and help them. But yeah, apparently,
yeah.
it's not so
Super tough.
simple. No.
One of the things that really hit me was that he said, like, I think that was around the end where he said, "This is how my ideal life looks like, content." And to me, that really hit, as in what he also mentions, like he was trying to achieve more and more in life, right? Like doing more gigs, more success, more money. And he also mentioned in the documentary, like he was already happy when he was able to pay for the cab or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Such a simple thing, but
That already gave him freedom or
the
something, he said.
feeling of freedom was already like years back when he was able to pay for a cab without worrying about it.
Yeah.
And that to me was kind of like that's the struggle for most people, like the human greed you might have, or the it's never enough mentality, right?
Hmm.
So my perfect life is content, is being content.
With what I have. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of set the tone to me.
Yeah, but in the end,
So
he was never content. It's so
well, by the
sad.
end he looked content to me. That's what's weird to me. Like if you look at the last part, he looks
Well,
happy.
he looks better.
yeah,
But he
At
I'd say
also
he
some
was way
point, he
more
looked
spiritual.
looked like a ghost, and but he,
yeah,
he looked better, but yeah, still maybe not good. I mean, it's all relative because maybe if you saw his pictures as being a kid, he looked better than he did at the end.
yeah.
But yeah, he looked way better than he did in the middle.
Hmm.
But still, yeah, it's. I think it's a
Yeah,
good
he
thing
was
that we
basically
don't
killing
understand what
himself.
was going through his head. But
Yeah.
He was not
yeah,
taking care of his body, not taking care of his health, not and his mental health, of course, and then just keep on grinding. And probably those shows, I think he had fun, but it's just like he was on that roller coaster the whole time without
Yeah.
stopping, without thinking, without feeling anything.
yeah. But at
Used a
some
lot of
point,
booze,
they
of
only
course.
did like 40 shows a year. That's what
Yeah, in the
Ash
end,
told.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Well, if you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out, because I think it's very valuable for every artist out there to
yeah,
check, just to be aware of what could happen, right? Like it's not
yeah.
like it's going to happen anyway, but it's definitely something to be aware of. And it's a beautiful documentary, in my opinion.
Yeah, what also struck me is, and that's also a thing we didn't talk about. It's the habit of drugs, and
Yeah.
that he at first was what feel good. He kind of like total reversed because at first he was like even opposed to weed. He was opposed to doing drugs and all that stuff. And later on, I think it also be that the drugs just fucked him up so badly that they were beyond a point of no return.
Hmm.
It's just guessing. I don't know
He
if
was also
so, but
mentioning. I also wrote that down. Like that things were going. What's truth okay in English?
yeah. Tough. Like
Tough. Like things were going tough without alcohol, and with just a few glasses of alcohol, like
you
the
loosen
sharp
up.
edges were taken off.
But
Right. So,
that's really recognizable. That
Of
I've
course.
exactly.
seen, like, yeah, that's what Marlon
Exactly.
did.
But that's the same thing. One of the things that I also recognized back
Yeah,
then, as at an early age, I also did like 2 3 drinks before I went on and did the show, because it just makes things a little bit more easy, right? And it's just like an entry. drug, you could say. Like
Mm.
it might start there, and if you're a bit more easy for addiction or something, like I'm not very how do you say that, like
Yeah,
adaptive
you
to
don't get
addiction.
addicted.
Yeah, not that quick, at least that I know. But if you are, then that's like the killer drug, right? So
Yeah, of course.
yeah, it's
Becomes a
there's a
habit.
lot of things in there, and I'm definitely gonna dive deeper into it. But it's a must see, in my opinion. Um, let's go to the clip of the week,
The clip of the week.
and
Ooh.
I'm very curious to hear Ralph's opinion.
We need some jingles in here.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I have one jingle for the community questions, which will be done later, but the other ones are coming.
Nice. I think with the
Uh,
OBS you can do all those.
yeah, exactly. Here's the clip of the week.
Something goes viral,
Ooh.
everybody wants to go viral, so everybody will do the same thing that went viral, and it kind of almost wants you to copy, and everybody will do the same thing. So, you know, a lot of people complain about AI kind of, doing bad to the world, and I'm not here to argue one way or another, but we're kind of doing the same thing by just forcing ourselves to do the
Mm.
same trend over and over, and somebody does something creative, everybody copies it. That's such a non-creative way of art. Because some
Yeah. So what you saw was Zed in an interview of the School of Greatness, talking about like everybody copying each other, and that there's not really the most creative way of making music. Like, what's your opinion on this? Let's start with Danik.
It's all. This is a really tough discussion because obviously, if you look at art, if you look at other factors, like even cars are being imitated, or what is inspiration, what is a copy? That's a discussion we can have. Um, Obviously, I think it's true what Anton is saying, Zed, that a lot of people are chasing someone else's creation, the same creativity. They're copying a certain genre or ID and trying to just hop on the train.
Hmm.
It's what we saw with everything that's being popularized or commercialized. Like it goes into the clothing brands or music, like what we had with Fisher. I think everyone was jumping on the tech house trend. Now it's more techno, and those are the cycles, the usual cycles. It's been there since when I started and when Ralph and I
Yeah.
started making music. I think you take certain inspiration from it and you try to own it and make it genuine or make it yourself, or at least try to just take things that inspire you and then try to make something that's maybe more creative than making a one-on-one copy.
Yeah.
In a way, making a one-on-one copy is great for achieving more production skills or those kind of things. I think then that's what I also did. Like I was just trying to remake, making remakes, and also just grabbing acapellas, and that really inspired me to make a remix out of the acapella, and that became, I took off the acapella, then you have an original song. So that's a different approach, of course, but it's a tough discussion, I think.
Mm. Yeah, I think this comes down to authenticity, right? As
Yeah.
in, um, one of the hardest things I think for an artist is to stay close to yourself. And sure, trends will come by and cycles will go by, and you'll be inspired by things, and you might copy a few things, but eventually it's the creativity that you have, as in doing what you like and kind of implementing things from other styles or genres or trends that you see, and kind of implementing it into your own sound, but
Yeah,
always sticking to your own thing, right?
but that's already step two. I think if
Mm,
you are more an established artist, you can get away by jumping on a certain trend and trying out that
yeah,
direction, because then that's something you can do. But if you're just starting out and you want to get noticed, then copying is definitely not the way to go, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Why would it be different for a bigger artist? Because it seems to be easier for, like, let's say Gedda or something, to just copy things and he gets away with it. So why would that be?
Ooh. Shots fired, David.
Yeah. Um, I think like the bigger artists, they also have a bigger team behind them, which also, and you saw that in the Avicii documentary as well. You know, the label wants certain things. I think he mentioned something like, and this was more like the production thing, like in the first 5 seconds you should do this, and he
Yeah,
was definitely not comfortable with that thing.
like
Um,
the rules of music
the
production,
rules, you
right?
know,
Yeah,
they're trying to make the rules.
yeah,
So obviously there's a part of that where the bigger labels want, hey David, you should do something more commercial. I think even when I was signed to Spinning, and I love those guys, nothing to disrespect here, they were also telling me like, if you want to have more success and more bigger numbers, then you should cover something, because you know it's a quick dopamine hit for the listener,
it's
and
easy
this is
to
also
sell.
science based.
Yeah,
If people recognize a certain melody or something, or it's just like really close to it, you get an instant dopamine hit, and it becomes easier for a listener to get used to it, and they want to play it again and again. So that's the science behind it, I think. So it's not down to just David being lazy or something and say, oh yeah, let's copy Blue Dabba or whatever. It's always an you know, intertwine of a lot of factors, let's say.
yeah,
I thought Blue was actually a really good copy.
Yeah,
very
but that's
good.
what I mean. Yeah,
I
Very
like
if
the
good.
you,
writing on it,
yeah,
and
Yeah,
was actually pretty creative. Yeah, I think, like Dannic said in the first sentence, what's copying and what's
yeah,
getting inspired, and also with
mm,
the labels. I mean, there's so many things that push you in a certain direction. I already said it before. Sometimes it feels like useless to even put your own original music on Spotify, because the chances of it getting numbers or being listened at all as it's supposed to be are just slim. You might be even better off to put it on SoundCloud as a free download as well.
yeah,
hmm
And but it's always a changing world, and I think also referring back to Zed, I mean, what he describes, he's not wrong, absolutely not,
no,
but it's something that's happening all the time since, I
yeah,
mean, we are humans, that's how we actually interact. And it's not per se a bad thing, because every trend actually gets invented at some point. That's where the creativity is. And sometimes it's also really creative how people then make those trends their own. You get like all these different
yeah, these
variations on it, and I think it's
variations.
actually cool and gives a certain feel of community to it. And yeah, so I think it's just human nature, and it's not bad per se. And I mean, creativity, it's a really an idealistic word and all, but like Danik also mentioned, for me that was also one of the ways to learn music, is to copy. It's actually really cool to copy, to learn how things are made, and the more you know, the more you can make. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think bottom line, and that's exactly what Ralph says. It's okay to copy if it's for your own like training purposes almost. But bottom
Yep.
line is, when you want to break through and you want to get noticed, I don't think copying is the right direction.
yeah.
No.
Um, yeah, that's it basically.
But
Okay.
do please do make covers. It's one of the easiest ways to get noticed, because I mean, we have a DJ here in the middle, because for me he's sitting here. And
Who's he?
no,
Or
I
even
think
remixes is maybe, that's also how I
Yeah.
started
yeah.
making tons of remixes of famous songs. But
But
then
then isn't
obviously,
it also that
mm,
when you see something coming by in your mailbox and you think, oh, a cool new like Coldplay Clocks remix by Henky
Hanky's
Sultano.
great,
I'm just saying a name, and yeah, you think, oh, Clocks. I'm actually curious. What would he or she do
of
with
course.
Clocks? And it's a way to stand out. But in the end, the end goal is to just make music as you like it. And yeah, I think originals are the coolest part of making music.
Cool.
Cool.
Let's go.
Community questions.
Yeah, that's it.
Ah,
That's it.
dude.
That's all AI over
Yeah.
there, Dan.
Oh,
That's all
really?
AI. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, is this your?
It's
No,
Jay's
I've
voice.
been grinding Suno for like a couple of weeks now, and I'm working on a couple of jingles. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Nice.
It's
It's your voice.
no, it's I don't know whose voice it is.
Oh,
Like an AI.
Yeah, but
his
Suno
text
is
to
just
speech.
great, man.
It's insane. But I
Can't
really like
can't
this
wait to
single.
be out of a job.
Yep. Let's check because quite some questions came in.
That's great.
Oh yeah, question from Jelly Boner in the community. When you guys work with someone that uses a ghost producer, how do the artists then play it off most of the times? Are they hiding it and are ashamed, or are they open about it and tell you?
Ralph.
Yeah, a
No.
bit of both, actually. Yeah, sometimes, yeah, sometimes talks get a little bit weird, but yeah,
Weird in a way that they
y-
want to
y-
hide it.
yeah, you dance around the bush. Is it called like that? Or and but I do gotta say for some people who don't do the production
It's like
themselves,
the pink elephant in the room. Like
yeah, oh yeah, you just go along with it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't see anything.
No.
But no, some do have their way of when their vision of music is really uh, really precise. I actually don't mind that you don't do the production work
No.
yourself.
Yeah.
And also the people we work with, they do really have a vision
Yeah.
because it makes our work so much more easy because when we get really good feedback, we know what to do. And if somebody doesn't know what he or she wants, then you'll be like, okay, the feedback is I like it or I don't
Just
like
make a
it.
hit. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Good point.
uh, the one person is not the other. And yeah, to be honest, being a good A&R really helps and is not per se less or more than being a good producer.
Yeah, I think the best example is still like Tiesto. I think we talked about it before, but he's one of the best visionaries and A&Rs there is.
No,
I mean, the fact is that he's what is he, 56 now, and he's still on top of his
56,
game, and that's huh?
yeah, he's old, but I don't know
dude.
if
Let
he's
me
that old.
check.
56.
Wait,
Uh,
This could be.
55. Holy shit! And
yeah,
in 9 days, yeah, 9 days
Yeah,
he's turning 56.
yeah.
dude.
Well, I was close.
Holy shit, you're pretty
Yeah,
close.
you are.
Anyways, um, so is it a problem that but he was always next to his ghost producer because he couldn't, you know, he he couldn't work with a computer. Okay, but that's fine, but he still knew exactly what he wanted, and he didn't came up to the ghost producer said, yeah, I want to make a hit, let's make a hit.
Yeah,
Like all like Traffic and all those big hits that he had back in the days was all in his head, and he just explained it to the guy at the with the buttons and
yeah. So the answer to the question kind of is yes, people sometimes dance around it, as in they're not always clear about how things are actually going.
Some don't care; they just want success,
Mm.
and you just stop working with them.
But would you
And
say it's about the success, or do you think they might more approach it as a business and say we're just running a business here?
yeah, yeah, kind of like that. They just don't know what they want, and but in the end, they're out. If you're having a business, is about being successful, or else you
Yeah, yeah,
are about the art and
yeah.
call
True,
yourself an artist or something. Or
true.
yeah,
Okay, great.
but yeah, sometimes it gets awkward. Nice.
It would be nice to be a fly on the wall in those conversations, like just watching how everybody, like everybody's body language and stuff, like starting to
yeah.
move and like
Uh,
getting awkward. Yeah. A question from Sahara in the community. Can you guys go a bit more into detail in terms of production, mixing, and mastering? Do professionals like you do do all of it or focus on production and then hand it over to mixing professionals and finish the project? So do you make your own track and then send it off to like external mixing and mastering services, or do you do everything by your own?
Yes and no. I used to do everything myself, mixing and mastering, also for my label. And now, and I still do because I'm still a geek about having my mix as perfect as possible, and also the final master. But I just recently have this guy that is amazing. He's called Bram. He's from This Mix is Sick. and
Bram.
he has like analog gear. Yeah, it's a great name. He has analog gear that basically does the end sauce. It's not like he's not doing anything crazy with EQing. It's still my mix and my master, but he has this extra. I don't even know which device he has. Like he has a studio which has like 100K equipment, and it just opens up the track a little bit more. Um, and feel I felt like, oh, this is great because I have an extra pair of ears, and
Yeah.
it really helps me get to the next level. But I
Oh.
don't do it every time. It's just when I have this track that I think can use this little extra, and I just don't know how to get to it.
Mm,
But this is just perfectionism at its finest.
Yeah.
mm.
Sometimes I'm even amazed with if I listen to the earlier versions, and I'm thinking like, "Whoa, dude, what were you thinking, man? It sounds so shitty."
Always.
And yeah, and a few extra pair of ears, it helps so much.
Yeah.
Especially when you send it to Robert
Yeah.
Hartwell,
Yeah. Then
you get humiliated. Like,
you get
okay,
humor. No, he gives great feedback. But the same goes for me. We send each other back and forth. Also his stuff,
yeah,
because my room is different. My acoustics are different. My speakers are different, and he's always
also helps. Yeah,
curious to hear like, oh, what do you think of this? And that's great. But
yeah.
he's
But
also
I think you should always strive to do as much as possible yourself,
yeah,
because also in the mixing and mastering lies the characteristic of your sound.
Yeah,
yes,
And Hartwell wouldn't be Hartwell without his own mixing and
yeah,
mastering. Dannic wouldn't be Dannic,
yeah,
and bass checkers wouldn't be bass checkers. Not every artist is really reliant on that. I think the most famous example was early Skrillex. I mean, who could master his
yeah.
shit?
That's
That was
still
just
insane.
yeah. But yeah, but you have different kind of. I think yeah, there are some artists that have music that's not so reliant on how you mix
yeah,
or
But to
master it.
also answer the question is, I think that's a good point. Is that the first half hour of my production, I never go into like how it sounds. This is the most creative part, and I don't think you should be working on how your synth sounds or something. You need to
yeah,
quickly draw down the creative idea, because that's more important, because eventually mixing and mastering is something that you can fix on the
yeah.
way to the finalized product, of course.
Yeah, the way how I always describe that is that the first process of your music production is an emotional phase,
Yeah,
as in you just make music with your emotion,
something
no
pops up.
brains.
Yeah, exactly.
And then afterwards, you actually need to turn on your brain and start thinking about, hey, compressor, limiter, EQing,
Hmm.
blah blah blah.
Yeah, how does it sound? How do I want it to sound? Like
Yeah,
I have some vision in my head, like I know how I want it to sound, and then I just try to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and
yeah,
that's mixing, mastering, and selecting presets, or creating sounds, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
I still remember back in the days, like I was doing the mixing and mastering myself as well. And I always struggled with it because my studio wasn't that great, so I couldn't hear it that well. And then at a pretty late point in my career, I sent it to a professional mastering engineer. I got the track back and I was like, what the fuck? Like it just came alive, like the whole track came alive. And I
yeah,
was
but it
like,
Yeah.
doesn't always work like this,
yeah, that's true.
because
That's
it's
true. Yeah.
still someone else's judgment on your mix and sound. And because I also tried it once, like, oh, let's do this we I had this more like streaming kind of track, so I
Mhm.
was like, okay, let's send it to this master guy. He did like all masters for Alesso and all those big hits. I was like, oh, he's good. And it came back not the way that I liked it. So this is
Mm,
what Ralph is saying. You have this certain sound, or like how you like it to sound.
yeah.
So that's why you should always be in control of that. And in my case, like, I like to send it out to Bram just to have this extra, yeah, I don't know how to create it, but it's this analog gear that does
Yeah.
something that
It just
I don't
makes it
know what.
alive or something. Like it
But it's
creates a
still Dannic.
certain
It's still my
yeah.
mix and master. I never send him like a
Sometimes you're
demo.
just too caught up in your own production. You cannot hear, and it's always really subtle, because most of the ears wouldn't even hear the
Yeah, that's
difference.
also
But
true.
we do, and it's always or in the far highs or the sub.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
for me, it's almost never like really in between. And
Well,
it's
the placing of the middle is also very different. Like that's
no, but when somebody then
Stereo
sends you
imaging
feedback, and then you go trying, and you just put the EQ on your master and try to put little
fixes.
little yeah, little belts everywhere, and
Yeah,
you just listen like, oh, if I do plus 4 dBs on, let's say, 50 hertz, man, there's more than enough room for it. It works. So then you know there's something there. There's still room to improve. And then
Yeah.
also in the highs, you can try that everywhere. And if it doesn't really, you should then of course maximize the end result, or else yeah, it will always work. But
one tip that I
yeah.
can give people is what also the professionals, me and Robert, also use is match EQing or reference
Mm,
EQing,
Hmm.
where you have this folder of tracks that we really like, and of course you cannot compare a Skrillex track, which is more like, differently mixed than like a funk track that I made. So we always try to reference it to a track that kind of sounds similar or has similar vibes, and just look at the like the how to say that the linear scale of like,
mhm,
okay, bass is like this, okay, we should add a little bit more high, and then try out, see where you're at, because sometimes you can have like this yeah, you get your ears also get used to it. So I always tell people to not mix and master at the end of your studio day, because it doesn't make sense. Your
Yeah.
ears are fatigued. There's no way you can get a great mix, or you're
uh,
just lucky. And of course, still the professionals, me and Robert, we still have this master V12 or V20
Yeah.
sometimes. There's always something to optimize, but yeah, sometimes you just have to say, okay, it's finished.
Continue. Yeah. We have
that's
we have
true.
we have one question left from Ishvar in the community, which might be it's actually for Dannic and Jay, but Jay is not here, so it's to Dannic directly. You might get a little offended by it. Are you open for it?
Yeah, of course. Let's go. I love it.
Okay.
Give me some proper
Question
feedback.
question to Dannic. You guys have a lot of years in the EDM scene. In the golden era, you were making hits and headlining events, but music evolves, and I saw Jay and Dannic didn't really evolve with it, meaning making tracks that would bang in 2013, but not in 2024, 2025.
Hmm.
What was the choice behind this? Good friend of you, Hardwell, did evolve. Wouldn't you also want to evolve?
Good question.
Yeah,
Do I feel
Yeah, it's a
offended?
fair
No,
question.
not at all.
good.
I do think that I always stay true to my sound. You can argue if that's smart or not.
Hmm.
Maybe for a few years it wasn't. The thing is that when the COVID era hit, I actually went back to the studio and couldn't make shit. I couldn't make. Sorry for my language.
No worries.
Oh,
Um,
fuck shit,
We've
and
been way
everything
everything.
like
past
Yeah.
that.
blocking. Of course, I tried different stuff and more radio friendly, all that kind of stuff. Didn't work for me. Then I tried to, because I make a lot of different genres as well. I also released different stuff. I made ghost productions for people, so I know how to produce and make other tracks as well. But for the Dannic as a brand, I also listen to my fans in a way, and to the promoters that actually book me, and they were telling me like, you should just stay true to your sound, and of course it needs to evolve. It's not like, I hope it's not exactly the same sound that I did too in 2013, but of course there are some, sounds that you like or still
Hmm.
use, of course. It does it. I mean, if you look at a Martin Garrix and Third Party track, for instance, which is a great track, it's still progressive house like we used to know it. Like there's not like a certain specific sound that is totally brand new or something. Still violins and a
Hmm.
raging bass line. And so I'm not sure like how Ishnes means that, but I always try to use different sounds, and I always at the same time try to focus on tracks that work in my sets.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, also for my fans, the fans that I had 10 years ago, they maybe evolved to different tastes. They have maybe now kids or something, and they
Just
listen
sitting on
to.
a bench.
Yeah, no, but it's part of life. So I don't
Yeah.
feel offended. I think it's great that people try to keep you sharp,
Yeah.
let's say. But yeah, trust me, I'm always looking for different sounds and stuff.
Mm.
And at the same time, I also have a business to run, in the sense that I want to release every month, just by keeping myself also busy, but also for my how to say that, my own sets. I
Consistency.
want to keep
Uh,
playing new music, and there's not, from the 12 tracks that I can release in a year. Of course, maybe 5 of them are like let's say a 7 or a 6 or a 7, and there are a few tracks that stand out. Of course, that's always has been
Yeah,
the case, even
yeah,
in
true.
my
Mm.
popular years, of course.
And
Not
it
all.
also depends on which bandwagon comes by. And he mentioned also Hardwell, and we could, especially in Holland, could feel early on that like techno was making waves. And I think there were a few like Maddox, Hardwell, also a guy like Danny Avila. They kind of jumped on that bandwagon pretty early on.
Yeah,
But it's also dependent on how far is that next bandwagon far from your own sound. And I think with the whole techno-ish vibes that came by, if I would listen to Dannic's music, it's pretty far apart from the this stage we're now in. Should then Dannic, like he would really have to throw overboard what he stands for, like pretty drastically to make that kind of stuff. For
Yeah,
me, that wouldn't be Danik as well. I think Danik is one of those guys that really have. I mean, you can just tell what he
true.
stands for. Like
You have
really,
you have a
yeah,
very authentic
appreciate that.
sound.
really, really specific.
Yeah,
And so for me, it's kind of logical that Danik doesn't make that. Yeah, you could try, but yeah, it's not a really good match for us. It's a really better match. Our sound didn't stand so far from what's now the new sound.
Yeah,
For me, like Maddox with Heute Nacht was a game changer because beforehand, all the techno-ish tracks were really dark and moody. I didn't like that. And then Maddox came with Heute Nacht and I was like, whoa, you can actually party to this stuff. And that
yeah,
for me was like, shit,
yeah,
how could have I not seen this coming? And that opened a new stuff for me. And tracks like the bootleg we did for Artemis game that did really well, the kind of music one, and we could take our super sauce into this, and yeah, yeah, it's an easy match.
yeah.
So
more
I
organic as
think
well. Yeah,
yeah,
I think you nailed it there. As in, you want to stay close to your own sound and to your authentic sound, and you don't want to implement too much of other styles because then you start to waste down your own sound, right?
no,
So,
I think I'm thinking about it. Like I just released a track with Tujamo,
mhm.
oh
um,
yeah, true.
which actually has this techno
Yeah,
bass line. So
yeah. But doing a collaboration is a great way to kind of explore into this
yeah,
trending sound, right?
of course. But
Yeah,
like I always try to do something, new, or is it like completely different? No, not at all. Because then you have the same question. But in my sets, in my DJ sets, I really like to do all kinds of stuff,
Mm.
and
yeah,
actually surprise the crowd. And but that's a different story, of course. But for my production side, I like to stick to what I like personally as well. I think that's more important.
Oh,
mhm.
that's really important,
Yeah, because
especially if you
otherwise
don't have to
I
come up to a scene. I mean, you've made your waves. Also, financially, you could you can take a few hits. That gives you also the freedom to do what you do and to stay true to yourself. I mean, if you're upcoming and you don't have any money and you dislike your work, I can also understand that you would compromise a little bit more than a person like Danik or myself, for that matter.
Yeah.
yeah.
Even though even then it's not that smart, but it's more understandable. Yeah, that's true. Um,
Now, save this question also for Jay.
yeah, yeah. Actually, Jay just messaged when we started that his internet was too shitty, so he couldn't join.
Ah,
Oh.
I didn't even know he was trying to join, to be honest. But he's on a
Oh,
holiday.
poor Jay. Well,
Yeah. Anyway,
Jay.
um,
maybe Jay.
one thing I wanted to discuss as well is one of the videos of James Hype that went live last week. I'm not sure if
Hmm,
you ever see the videos of that guy.
I've seen
I
this
think I
shit.
saw like 5 minutes today, this morning. It was also he
The
was
first
taking
5 minutes.
he
Yeah,
was
it's that video, as in taking a step back and saying
yeah,
no
less
more.
shows, more focusing on music
Yeah,
and full potential, all that. Yeah, the same
yeah.
thing basically. Yeah,
To me,
that's good.
like
Smart.
especially the first couple of minutes of that video where he explains himself, I think that's a very, very, very wise decision.
Yeah, well
es-
done. Actually, also the video looks
especially in the phase where he is as an artist right now. Um, I think he's had a crazy few years. Um, and I think having that realization that he had right now, like realizing that this is not really sustainable and that he's kind of diverting away from what he actually likes. Yeah, what you see in the Avicii documentary as well. Like he actually likes making music in the studio, and now he's touring all the time. That's what's
doing
happening
live
with him.
streams. How he started,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah,
exactly. Like connecting with people through live streams and stuff. He's really going back to where it comes from, as in like how, what he likes to do and taking back everything to
yeah,
the basics. So to me, that stood out because I think that's a very very brave decision to make at that
Mm,
point in your career.
yeah,
It's
I
what
think
Robert
so
did
too.
as well.
yeah. 100%.
He also decided to get back to the roots, you could say.
Yeah, and that's where he actually had a chance to create this new idea of the music that he wanted to make, and also I think his first ultra set was more like the raw, new, really new style,
Yeah,
and now he's more, of course, evolving it more like it's more how do you say it, more suitable for his fans and and the dance floor by having a perfect balance between more commercial and more hardware kind of sounds than full on
Yeah,
big room techno, or how do you want to
yeah,
call it? I don't know.
make it suitable for the ultra main stage.
Yeah, and
yeah.
but also Tomorrowland. I think even Tomorrowland's
Yep.
more commercial in terms of, the crowd really wants to sing along. Also, you want to entertain them instead of educating the
And
crowd.
I really like that when
Yeah,
somebody just takes, reflects, takes on feedback,
yeah,
and you could really see a
always.
difference between Hartwell's first set at Ultra back then
Yeah,
and the one he did at Ultra Europe. That and you could see, and I like that. That's being an artist that you continuously evolve, reflect. What do I like? What do the people like? And take it all into account and to set down a certain vision, and it doesn't have to be always the same, and you don't have to be stubborn about the things you think of in theory, because in practice it's always different.
yeah.
True.
Well said.
Um, and I'm still working on that jingle of Knowledge Bomb.
Knowledge
Knowledge
bomb.
bomb, you have a knowledge bomb now.
Yeah, you just dropped a knowledge bomb, so
Oh
you
nah,
wanna
this
add that
or
wasn't
in
a
there.
knowledge bomb.
or professor shit.
Yeah, yeah, stuff like that.
That would be great.
One thing I want to mention as well, just to close down, is that the giveaway of Ralph is still live. Because
Ooh.
last week in the live stream, he announced that he was going to give away a Bassjackers cap and in-depth feedback on one of your tracks if you win the
Ooh,
giveaway. And I see that already 40 people have entered the giveaway in the Discord.
that's a lot of
Cool.
caps.
That's just one person
Man.
winning.
Oh, that's
So
great.
yeah,
Oh, he
it's
was
just
clever
one
about it.
person winning. Like
Good, good,
Ralph,
good.
yeah, cleared him with
I
that.
don't even mind giving away that much caps, but
Yeah,
I'm not gonna send them all. That's
yeah,
the
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
hassle.
that's the
And
hassle.
so you can
Tokyo's and
you're
Finland.
easy if you're feel free to pick them up at Joey. I'll give him a bunch of caps, and he's now in the middle of Tilburg City in
Yep,
his new office.
Your new
yep.
office?
Yeah, this is. I mean, you don't know 13, right? The pop
Yeah,
center.
on 013, I know for sure. Yes.
I'm kind of close to it, like
Zero 13.
200 meters away.
Oh, sick. But what happened to the farm where you're?
It's still there.
Hmm.
It's. I think I'm gonna rebuild that as a podcast studio, so we can do stuff like this in real life, and then just
Hey,
have
that's
a
cool. With
complete
beer.
room dedicated about it. Yeah, dedicated.
Dedicated. And then next up is office in New York
And Shanghai. Yeah,
and Shanghai.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
clever. Yeah,
yeah.
you have to
Just
I'm
step.
not
to just
coming
to
then.
cover just to cover all the yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so if you want to attend that giveaway, if you're not part of it yet, make sure to go to the Discord, join our community. It's actually growing pretty rapidly. And Ralph, the subscribers on the channel are also growing rapidly since we started mentioning shit. So,
Cool,
yeah,
man.
we might
Love
do
it.
that more often.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, any shilling things? Anyone wants to shill something? New releases?
Like and subscribe.
Usually I'm all about the chill, but this time, no.
Crickets.
No, well, it's
Crickets.
so early on in the year. I think it's still a period of creating stuff and not selling stuff yet. That will
Mhm.
come
I
later.
have no, I have nothing to sell, but I'm releasing a track on Friday on Protocol. You should check it out. It's on my
So
solo.
you do have
Oh,
something to
good.
sell.
That is something to show. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, new track on Protocol, you said.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
We'll keep an
I
eye on
probably
it.
have it somewhere. I'm gonna listen to it.
You should have a
Oh, I
promo.
send it to you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
full on
You see,
groovy.
guys, that's how it goes. To all the listeners, people send music to each other. Even when you're at a higher level, it's just a simple email with a Dropbox
Yeah.
link. That's it. Or
Yeah,
maybe
And
no,
even a
still,
WhatsApp.
not a lot of people actually respond to your email, but they do get it. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I always open it and then make it unread. So Marlon
Hmm.
also opens it. We use the same inbox.
Demo. Yeah. Inbox. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, and I don't know if Martin does his radio show on a regular basis, but we agree to. Yeah, but I think it's
So,
important, you know. Yeah, it's important to do the radio show.
consistency is key.
Definitely, yeah, and
Yeah,
also for the promos, it's nice to uh, to show some music also of other producers and supporting each other here and there.
true.
And yeah,
Dan, thank you very much for
Thank you
taking the
guys.
time again.
It's, of course.
yeah,
And
Dan,
maybe
we should also
next
do it
time.
real life with Dan at some
Yeah, maybe
point.
next time we should do real life. We should have a
Yeah.
beer afterwards. And
In the new podcast studio that you're gonna build.
yeah,
Something nice.
exactly. It's
I'm
just
not a good painter, so you should ask someone else.
it's already painted. Like it
Oh,
just
that's
needs
Good.
a table and
It
some
looks
lighting.
insane. The
Yeah?
guy is
Yeah.
a woman. He can
What is-
decorate. Yeah.
I
Joe's
do
interior design.
I
and
do have a
architect.
feminine side, to be honest. But yeah, it's the new office is fully decorated. The old office remains the same, but it just needs an extra table and some lighting and mics and just plug and play. But I'm
Sick.
working on it. So
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
I mean, we're about the purple LEDs down, but this guy here, he actually knows how to make something really cozy and
Yeah,
being nice to be in there.
what an
And man,
inspiration.
for me, it's
yeah.
all just screaming like, notice me.
No distractions. Okay, guys, have a good day. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, you too.
And don't forget to subscribe, comment,
And follow
share it
Joey.
with the pets of your pet,
Yeah,
your AI bots, and I don't know what, but just share it.
share it, like it, subscribe it.
And
See you
keep it
next
up.
week.
Appreciate it. Ciao.
Cheers.
Just a second.
Yeah, because YouTube is still running. Bye,
Yeah.
everybody.
There's a slightly
Delay.